Hey there, it's Mackenzie, your host of Winning. We're looking for sponsors for the podcast. If you have a business that you would like to promote to thousands of people, send us an email at podcastwinning@gmail.com or send us a message on social media. I cannot wait to hear from you. Now on to the show.
Winning is your guide to making it in business. Join our award-winning host and entrepreneur, Mackenzie Kilshaw, and special guests in casual conversations that will educate and inspire you on your business journey. Winning will help you learn the hard lessons the easy way with guidance from celebrated entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's fun. It's informative. It's winning.
Hello, welcome to Winning. I am your host, Mackenzie Kilshaw. And I am super pumped to have Piper Clarke on today's episode. Hi, Piper.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you. Right before we hit record, I said to Piper, I look forward to every episode because everyone I talk to is really interesting and has lots of great advice. But Piper is very close to my heart because she actually became the new owner of one of my former businesses, which we're going to talk about. But just seeing you and your journey, and it's like I'm your mom or something. I'm so proud of you. But it's just, this is so exciting to me because you are pretty new in the entrepreneurial world. And I think to have someone new on, we usually have people that are offering advice. You're going to give advice from that new point of view, which I love. Yeah. So thank you. Thanks for being on.
I'm really excited. And it's been crazy to start the new journey and just so grateful for you that you sold me your business.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you bought it. It worked out good for both of us. Yeah. So just to let you know a little bit about Piper, for those of you that are listening, I sometimes forget it's not just Piper and I talking. There's actually people listening to this. But Piper is the owner of 252 Boutique. And also she has another business, Cross the Line Consulting, which I think we'll talk about a little bit too. So 252 is an award-winning online clothing store. It provides essential wardrobe pieces for women to help them fall in love with their closets, which I love. And Cross the Line is a full-service marketing consulting company that specializes in helping companies streamline their marketing. And we all know how important marketing is. Piper has tons of experience. She's worked in marketing roles in finance, real estate, aesthetics, and tech as well. So welcome, Piper. Official welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as I said, Piper, we'll just go back a little bit. We'll take a few steps back. Piper and I worked together at a tech company, Salon Scale. I still work at Salon Scale, but Piper was in charge of our marketing and I did partnerships and sponsorship. So we worked lots of times together.
Sure.
Yeah, we love Salon Scale. We worked lots together and then change of events. Piper wasn't with Salon Scale anymore. And change of events, I got married, have stepson, moved, had so much on my plate, and I just was not giving enough time to 252, which was my baby. And I knew I had to pass it on to someone that could honestly, in my opinion, do better at the online space than I did. And that was Piper. I sent her a random Instagram DM, which I slid into her DMs and was like, hey, I'm like, this is not a scam message. This is real life. Are you interested in buying my store? Literally, that's what I messaged her. And here we are.
I was like, what kind of sales pitch is this? I think the beginning, so I just saw the preview of the message on my phone and it was like, hey, Piper, this is not spam. It's really me, Mackenzie. Can we set up a call? And I was like, oh, hey, Mackenzie. Yeah, of course. What's up?
Yeah, you're like, what the heck? Why is she messaging me? And what? I knew if I didn't say it wasn't spam, like there's so many now in your DM, like, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, you're going to think my Instagram got hacked and this is some weirdo.
Totally.
Yeah, so that was the beginning. And honestly, selling my business, I was really nervous because, not nervous to sell it, but the process. I was nervous of the process. How are we doing this logistically? Piper lives in Vancouver. I live in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, tiny city. How are we doing this? And honestly, I thought the process was so easy, like after we were doing it. And I think a lot of that is you were the right person to buy the store. Right. So I think it made it a lot easier.
Yeah. And And truthfully, you actually made the process very easy, because being a first-time business owner and purchasing a business, there was a ton of things I had absolutely no idea how they were going to go, and the different like hoops you have to jump through, and you have to call, the accountant and the bank, and everything's got to line up at once.
Yeah.
And you were just, it was such a seamless process. And I think I attribute that to it being the right move as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'd been through all that, right? And I remember like we'd text and we were emailing. I mean, we talked all the time during the process. And if you've never sold a business, like it was fast. I think we started talking like October, and December 1st, Piper took over.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. And and you just like, you talk about timing of things. And so, I had been laid off from Swan Scale actually. And so really was taking a break and was really forcing myself to teach myself how to rest. I had never given myself the opportunity to take a break. And so really, I hadn't started Cross the Line yet. I was really just unsure of the next step. And I just wanted to be present and let it come to me. And that's all I knew. And it's just amazing how all of that happened. And, I remember getting off the Zoom call with you and thinking like, holy shit, like I'm going to do this. Like, I think I'm going to do this. And then I went through the whole cycle for about 2 weeks, like talking myself out of it, of like, you can't do this. This is crazy.
Crazy. Yep.
No way that you can run a clothing store, like get off your high horse. And then came back full circle again, and then actually flew home, back to Saskatoon where I'm from, and spent the week with my dad and just talked about the business for literally 7 days straight. And he convinced me that I could do it and that I would be great at it. And then I called you and I was like, I'm in, let's go.
Well, and then the real work started. Yeah. In all honesty though, for me as the seller, you were the right person for it. And I think that had you not I built that business, right? And I want you to do better than I did. It's like seeing your kids grow up. You want your kids to have a better life than you. Like I want you to do even better than I did. So if you're not the right person for that, it's not going to work. Something's going to happen, right?
Exactly. And you really did build such a strong base, being in it now for a few months, like just the loyalty that the customers have and that your following has, and the opportunity for me to come into essentially a turnkey business where all of that is set up. You really laid all that groundwork. And sometimes I feel, just so lucky that like, I don't have to do all of that I can, leverage kind of what you've built and really lean into my skills, which is that digital space, which is the marketing side and kind of that creative element of branding and the fun dreaming stuff of, what could the store be in 10 years and where can I take this?
And you have to make it your own, right? Like if you are looking, even for people listening, being an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you have to start from square one. You can purchase a business, but you have to still make it your own, right?
Yeah.
Because you're right. All that hard grunt work, I'll call it, was done for you. It's still hard work for you, but now you can refresh the brand, make it your own. You're introducing different brands. You've got vintage, like different things that I didn't do that make it you. And you're also opening up a whole new world of clients, right? Mm-hmm. But you're still satisfying the clients that were there because they still recognize it, right?
Exactly. And, starting a business from scratch, so different, like I don't want to call it a challenge, but my main, source of thinking right now and like strategy that I'm trying to build around the business is how do I take care of these customers that you have while also growing the brand and, targeting some customers that I want that aligns more to like my style or things that I'll bring into the store. And how do I, kind of balance both of those while ultimately trying to stay true to who I am and what you built. And that's a way better business problem for me to try to solve than, starting at ground zero, to be honest with you. So,
and especially now because it is an online exclusive business, right? There's no physical store. No. So you every impact that you make is social media,
Yeah.
right? That's everything that you have, because you don't see a person face to face. You can't make a suggestion for them to try a shirt on. You have to suggest that to them in a reel, or right. And so it is a little trickier for you.
It is. And I'm also, you know, I'm not in communication with them. I'm not looking at them in the eyes, asking them, do they like, you know, what I have in stock? It's such a gamble. And, you know, me inherently, I'm very risk adverse. That's always, you know, that's how I was raised. And I'm just so, you know, very risk adverse. And, you know, even though this is an established business and it's going really well, the risk element is challenging me. You know, I have to take a bet on certain brands and certain clothes and a mission and a vision and like where I'm going. And I just, you know, hope and pray that it resonates with the right people. But yeah, I feel so kind of aligned is the word I would use in what I'm doing with the store. And it's such a cheesy thing. And like, I used to cringe so hard when people would say this, but it really doesn't feel like work. Like I really just love doing it. And, you know, I get flack, like I live with my sister and I'll get flack from her of like, why are you working? Like it's night or it's the weekend, like stop, let's go do something. And I'm like, no, like I actually want to do this. Like I really would rather do this than something else. And that's how you know it's right. Like, I don't know another way to know.
A huge thank you to our sponsor, Just For You Day Spa and Wellness. Just For You is Canada's premier day spa with 5 locations in Alberta and Saskatchewan. The award-winning luxury spa features Leah Reese cosmetics and iconic Betty jewelry that you can also purchase online. Visit www.justforyoudayspa.com to book your service or to purchase a gift card. 100%. And the thing is, when you're passionate about it and you genuinely love it, it's not like work, right? It's not. And it makes all the world of difference because you're not like, oh, I have to go do this. You're like, oh, I get to go do this now, right?
Exactly. And it's the most physical hours I've ever put in work-wise. Like I've never worked more. But I've also never enjoyed work as much, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's feeling good. It's crazy, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more about it, but I want to like rewind a little bit here. You're from Saskatoon, which we have lots of Saskatoon listeners. Born and raised in Saskatoon. So tell us a little bit about, just give us some like Cliff's Note version here, because we've got a lot to talk about. This might be a 2-parter. I don't even know, but but start off with kind of like where you started and how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, you bet. So I graduated from the U of S in 2015. So I graduated with a BCom, majored in management. And then I always say I minored in marketing. I didn't technically minor in marketing, but when you major in management, you can pick all of your own classes. So I primarily chose marketing classes. And then since then, I've worked in like a ton of industries, like you've mentioned. I've worked in finance, I've worked in real estate, I've worked in aesthetics, global aesthetics, tech, and all in different, they're all marketing roles, but different capacities. So brand management, where I managed a brand in over 17 countries, strategically managing marketing teams, both in the real estate space and then the tech space, where I worked with you.
Yep. And
kind of the catalyst or kickoff of my career was the wealth management company I worked for. I started with them right out of school and was the executive assistant. And then as the company grew, they needed more marketing support. And so I was able to obtain that position. And it really, really was the catalyst of my career. It gave me not only kind of the experience I needed in the marketing field, but honestly, the confidence in myself that I could do it, that these people that I work for, specifically the CEO, Dave Bullock at the time, he really believed in me and really, jump-started my career.
Yeah, it's hard too when you leave university, you're like, I know all the book things to know. And then your first job, and you're like, oh, this is real life. I have to apply all this.
I think I like marketing because I took 8 marketing classes,
Yeah.
but what's it like in real life? I don't know. And
Yeah.
something that was so valuable to me early on in my career was putting my hand up and taking opportunities kind of outside of my current role, and, you know, trying to get opportunities to shadow senior marketing execs and kind of determine what their role was, taking on additional roles and responsibilities inside of my current job to try to learn to see if that's what I wanted. Something that I learned really young was that instead of working to try to find what you wanted to do, you should work to try to find what you don't want to do. And
That's smart.
so
it's like dating.
Yeah,
you know what you like and what you don't like then, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The more dates you go on, the more you know. But yeah, and so it was kind of process of elimination. As I was doing things, I just was noting I like this, I don't like this. And I just kept making decisions that aligned with what I really like to do.
Yeah. And that is the thing. When you like doing it, it doesn't feel like work. You just you enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So you're going to take on more. Yeah. And then you take on more of those roles. And like you say, you put your hand up, you volunteer, you say, I can do that, or I want to try it. Yeah. Doesn't always work out, but you've tried, then you know, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then, like I said, born and raised in Saskatoon, and then moved out to BC about 4 years ago. So I was in Kelowna first. So I worked for a real estate marketing firm there, and then the global aesthetics company there as well. And then just moved to Vancouver a year ago next week. So it's just officially been a year.
Crazy. And what a change. Saskatoon to Vancouver. Climate, number of people, traffic.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I've been here way longer than a year, and truly Vancouver is the place for me. I've never felt more, aligned with where I'm living. And my dad actually reminded me the other day that when I was 6, I used to talk about how when I was older, I would move to Vancouver, and I had never been to Vancouver at that point.
It just seemed like the place to be.
It just seemed like, from him talking about it, my dad lived in Vancouver for a while, and so yeah, he was like, oh yeah, we always knew that this is where you were going to end up, and yeah, I just love it.
Well, you know what they say, what's meant to be will be, right?
Yeah,
and good for you for taking that chance and moving there to experience it, and now you know.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty scary moving. My sister lives here, so that was a nice bonus that she was close. But yeah, truly didn't know many people at all. But it's been really great.
Yeah. So you go to university, you are an executive assistant, you do some marketing, you really like it, you get these jobs. Did you have a turning point, or did you have a time when you were like, I need to make a change, or I want to own a business? What happened?
I mean, yes, I think that as a lot of turning points or pivotal moments in people's life, they often start on a really negative front. So July of last year, literally my whole life came to a screeching halt when I got laid off from my marketing manager job at Salon Scale. And, just to be super honest, I won't sugarcoat it, I was devastated. I really genuinely love to work. I've always been, the career girl. And I put so much of myself into my career for the last 10 years that naturally it was so much of my identity. And I didn't really know who I was outside of these jobs that I had. And I spent all my time thinking about them. I aligned my life to better suit my job. And I just didn't know who I was and where I wanted to go. And so after the initial shock, I decided that I was going to take 2 months off. And the only goal that I had was I was going to teach myself how to rest, because I realized that I had never rested in my whole life, probably.
Working career for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, take vacations, you take holidays and stuff, but really rest and really not have anything occupy your brain except your own thoughts, which is terrifying. And what I this wasn't intentional at the time, but what I really got clear on was this difference between what I really wanted and what I thought people really wanted for me. And the difference between that and what felt kind of calm to me and what felt like you have to do this. This is kind of what is expected of you. And this is what you've always done.
Pressure? Was it pressure? Like, did you feel a pressure? Yeah.
Yes. A lot of pressure. And not in the sense of people being like, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. It's almost this inherited expectation that I've always worked really hard. I've always had jobs like this, that would just be something that I should be doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah. It's like you have that expectation of yourself, felt like pressure. Probably no one else was even thinking it, but internally, right? That's how it felt.
It's likely my own perception completely, but I almost couldn't differentiate between the two. It was so ingrained in me that I didn't know what to do. And so I spent 2 months literally doing nothing. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever done because I had nothing to occupy my brain. And I know that sounds so trivial, but I really didn't know what to think about if I wasn't thinking about work or my next step. And everything felt cloudy and gray, and I didn't know like where to go, what to do. I had no energy. I had no motivation to put into anything. And so I just really gave myself that permission to rest. And it ended up being probably the greatest thing that I've ever done this far in my life. It really just gave me a sense of what I wanted, where I was going, and who I am inside, honestly, on a personal level as well. Yeah. And then, so I'd say that's probably one of the biggest turning points. And throughout that time, I was actually offered 3 different full-time jobs from, past bosses, just like colleagues that I knew or contacts that I had. And I can't explain to you like this overwhelming feeling that I had during that time of screaming at me, like, you cannot take these jobs. And they were
like something new.
Jobs. Yeah. They were high, like they were cushy salary jobs, big jobs, travel jobs, the thing that I would have quote unquote dreamed of having at 21 years old. Yeah. But I just felt this like huge push to not do it. And I don't think that I ever would have listened to that voice inside my head if I hadn't taken that time to rest, because like I was saying before, what was expected of me and what people thought I was going to do, I would have just jumped into those jobs, quite honestly. Yeah. So I didn't take them, and I just decided I was sort of getting bored. It had been like 2.5 months at this point. So I was like, okay, well, I know how to do marketing. I've done marketing for 10 years. I'll reach out to some of my contacts and colleagues and see if they need some consulting or some support. So I did that, and I got absolutely nothing back. And I had just turned down 3 jobs.
So you're like, oh shit, how do I pay the rent? Yeah. Right? We live in Canada. You get employment insurance for a while, but then you got to one day do something.
You do. And, employment insurance is a luxury, and we're privileged to have it, but it's not a lot.
No.
In terms of like living on for a long time. And, so I just kept going, and I had this feeling inside of me that like it would come together if I just sat it out a little bit. And I tried so hard not to worry about it. Obviously I was very stressed about it. But yeah, I just wanted that time off. And then in November, I had 2 companies reach out to me. They were both referrals from past colleagues or friends, and they needed some help on the marketing side. So I was able to sign them as clients. So I started working a little bit, which felt really good. And then right around that same time, I got a DM from you.
I slid into your DMs.
You did, yeah.
Not a spam email or not a spam message.
Yeah. And then we set up that Zoom call, and then, I feel like that was maybe end of October. And then, it all just happened fast. And so since then I've grown the consulting company. So now we're actually full. We're not taking any more clients at this time.
Awesome.
Which is it's crazy how fast that happened. And yeah, and then obviously I run the clothing store as well.
Yeah. Don't you think though, I mean, in the reality of the world, people get laid off, which does suck. And just to put this out there, that was a position thing, not a person thing. Like that was not Piper. That was her spot, just had to be dissolved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know that, but you still feel it, right? Like it's still you, even though it wasn't.
Yeah. And I truly like, you know, the leadership team at Salon Scale, the company as a whole, like they're amazing. Like they're great people. And I never had any, you know, like haste towards them. I knew that was a business decision. It just came right back on me. I was just like, okay, this happened. What am I going to do? And how am I going to, you know, what's going to happen next for me? But yeah, no, it was crazy.
But you took that time to rest and reflect, and you probably learned a lot about yourself, right? Because you're right. If you don't have work every day to do, you're occupying your own self. You learn a lot about yourself when you give yourself the opportunity.
Yeah, when you have nothing else to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, most people, that first job you were offered, they would have just taken it. Mm-hmm. Because it would have been like, I don't have a job. I need a job. Take the first job. Right. But something in you just knew, like, that's not the right thing to do. Right. And that would have been scary. Like that would have been, just say no to those. Were you scared shitless?
Oh my God, I was terrified. And, you know, I made it, like, now it's a happy story to tell. Yeah. But at the time, you know, sitting in my apartment, saying no to the jobs, or, you know, knowing that call was coming, that they were potentially going to offer me the job and then I was going to have to say no to it. I just remember thinking, like, what am I doing?
Like, I'm crazy.
What am I doing? This is crazy. You know, like, you have no income coming in and you're turning down a job, and you live in maybe the most expensive city in Canada.
Yep.
What are you doing? But yeah, I can't really explain, like, kind of what that voice was, but it was just this, like, feeling of knowing that there was something else, or at least I owed it to myself to try something else.
And I think too, and because I know you, I know this, but your dad is also a well-known business owner in Saskatoon. And I think that was very similar to me when I started, because my dad was a business owner, an entrepreneur from the 80s when, like, that wasn't a thing, but it was, right? And I think having that support and knowing that you have that backing of somebody saying, do what you love. Like you said, your dad talked you into it. Like, to buy my story, your dad had to talk you into it. Even though you knew you would love it, your dad had to be like, you can do it. I have faith in you. Yeah. I'll give you advice, help you out, whatever, right?
And he would say that I talked him into me buying it, but really it was him. Like, it was being able to field those questions. And, you know, I talk about myself being risk adverse. Like, who do you think I learned it from? Like, he's the most risk adverse person I know. Yeah. But, you know, just being able to talk through every detail, and this unwavering, which I know that, like, you have from your dad as well, this unwavering, like, you will be good at whatever you do. Just go ahead.
Just do it.
Support, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something that I just will never take for granted. It's the most amazing thing.
I agree, because I have it too, and I can tell you support. And if you don't have a family member that's that for you, find a network, right? Find another business owner, a community of business people that will give you, because I mean, lots of times they don't get that from their parents, right? So, but there's other places you can get it from.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, and I have, you know, great friends, great mentors, just been fortunate to work with so many great people that were all behind me, but yeah, it doesn't have to be family. And in most people's cases, you know, they don't follow their family's footsteps career-wise. They have different aspirations and goals, and that's totally good too.
Exactly. And I think too, when we're talking about selling a business or buying a business, it's just facts. Like, it seems scary when you think about it, but if you really boil it down, like, you knew exactly what you were getting from me, and I knew exactly what I was getting from you. You knew what the sales were. You knew. I literally laid it all out on the table and said, here's all the information. Take it to whoever you want to look at it, right? Accountant, financial person, whatever.
Yeah.
And, this is the amount of money that it's worth. And from my side as a seller, if you're looking to sell a business, I had my business valuated by another company. Like I didn't set the asking price on my business because then it was just a fact, right? It wasn't. So for you and I both, it was just a fact.
There wasn't that emotional level.
No. Yeah. And I wasn't like, well, this is how much I think I should get, right? It was just like, this is what it's worth. So, and you knew what you were getting yourself into. That maybe sounds bad. I don't mean for it to sound negative, but
no,
it was just all, yeah.
And I had, something else that I'm super grateful for is that it was you, like I know you, I call you all the time and I'm like, hey, I got this email. What is this? Can you help me? And that kind of support has been great, starting in this brand new industry, first time owning a business, all of that stuff. It's just, yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, for me, I have the knowledge because I have the experience of it and I lived it. So for me to help you is easy.
Yeah.
Right? Like it hasn't been difficult. And also I want you to succeed. I want you to do better than I did. So what kind of a person would I be if I was like, tough luck, figure it out yourself, and that's going to happen. Some people are very reluctant to offer advice. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why that is, but find people that will give it to you. Mm-hmm. And you might have to pay them. You might have to pay a business coach. But find a mentor, find a business coach, find someone, listen to a podcast, that might help. But find someone that will give you the advice. And honestly, sometimes the advice is hard.
Yeah, it's not always what you want to hear. Yeah.
No, it's not.
One thing that I started this actually when I was at Swan Scale, but I do have a business coach that I work with every month. And she's been invaluable in terms of, questions and trying to make decisions, trying to get clear on what it is that I actually want versus, and she's sort of a third party, non-biased expert, if you will, as opposed to, someone like my friends or my dad, who's like so emotionally invested in me as a person. It's a little different.
Yeah, exactly. What was the hardest part? What did you find was the hardest part when you were maybe during the purchasing process or right after that or now, whatever? It's been it'll be about 6 months when this airs that you'll have all.
Yeah, I'll update this once I.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing probably across the board would just be the uncertainty of it and going into the unknown. There was something that was so safe and comfortable in my past jobs and my past career that, someone was employing me, I was getting this much money every 2 weeks, and I had this security around a job. And going into starting the consulting company and then the clothing store, all of that is uncertain. And I'm 100% reliant on the customers, my clients, and what shows and what keeps me going is the work that I'm putting out. And so there's a lot of pressure on myself to deliver, of course, but really just that uncertainty. Obviously the logistics are annoying of buying a business, the bank appointments, the lawyer appointments, all of that. And the back and forth,
banking's the worst.
Emails, the worst.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the most fun, but all of that was uncertain. I'm going to the bank. I don't know if they're going to say yes. And if they say no, what am I going to do? And that kind of just one step at a time. And you're just completely reliant on all these external factors. And that's what I'm still facing today. I think something that's also a little bit of a challenge or a hard thing more now so that I'm in the businesses is time management. I've always been really good at time management in terms of my jobs. But what I realized is that it was always within parameters of these are our working hours.
9 to 5 or whatever it is. Yeah,
exactly. And these are your priorities and get these done by the end of the month. And we have no issue. And now that's just all up to me.
Yeah. And it's unlimited because you just have to do it.
Yeah. And your timelines are on yourself and or your clients' timelines, which are very important. And what I'm balancing right now is how do I still, take decent care of myself while building
self-care.
Because I could just work all the time. And to be honest, in December and January, I did. And then I realized that I was just 100% not productive because I was so tired and my brain actually couldn't keep up with what I was trying to do because I just wasn't giving myself any rest. And then I had to kick myself because I just went through this whole process of teaching myself how to rest and seeing the value in that. And then here I was not doing it again. So it's just this constant flow of like back and forth between rest and work, really.
Yeah. It's really hard to slip into that. I have to work all the time. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to slip into that. It's really hard to say, no, I have to turn my computer off. No, I have to I have to take the vacation and actually take the vacation and not work during the vacation. That's hard because you almost feel guilty that you're not doing something.
Yeah, the guilt is crazy. Like to turn my laptop off Friday at 5 or 6 and go out for dinner. Like, who do I think I am?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I know.
But you have to do it. You do.
It got me after I got married, and I lived in a different city than my husband for a little over a year before I moved. And I remember I'd come here, it's about a 3-hour drive, and I'd come here for the weekend. Yeah. And my husband and stepson would be like, are you going to be on your computer tonight? And I remember that, like, when the first time, or the time, it was like a once thing. I was like, I'm literally driving here. I see them 2 or 2.5 days a week, and they're wondering if I'm going to work. And it actually like made me sick. Like I felt like sick to my stomach.
What am I doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? This email can wait. Mm-hmm. This whatever can wait. I also started automating processes at that time.
Yeah.
Like before I was like, I'm not paying $20 a month for this posting app. And then I was like, it's $20 a month. And I don't have to physically go on Instagram and post. It'll just do it. This is stupid. Why did I not do that? So I started finding processes and automations that, yes, cost me money, but B, didn't cost me family time. And that's when I knew. And like now, and all I did was replace my clothing store with a coaching business. I mean, I haven't lost any work. But the thing is that now when my husband owns a business too, he has a baseball training facility. So he does a daytime job and then does that in the evening. So when he's at work, I work.
Yeah.
When he's at home, I don't work. That's what I've given to myself. Mm-hmm. Because then that way, if I'm home by myself, it's okay. But when I'm with him or my stepson's here, it's computers away. Right. And that was really hard, but worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it. I'm more productive.
Yeah. And something I think it was my old boss, Dave, actually, that taught me this, but is this illusion of work-life balance is fake. And you can't look at your life in two areas of like, oh, I live here and then I work over here. And it's like there are these two separate parts of you. It has to be one. Like it's just your life and you ebb and flow. And there's some seasons where you're working way more and some where you're working less and you're prioritizing family or not. And that sort of, creates a calmness for me of understanding like right now I'm working hard because I just started 2 businesses and that's it, but it's not going to be like this forever.
That's right.
And I know that it's not sustainable and that's okay. And I will just keep ebbing and flowing. And as I get there, I'll take a break. But yeah, it really, finding the balance is an art.
It is. This year, 2022, was the first year at Christmas time. So that week between Christmas and New Year's that I did not work in 10 years.
Yeah, you told me that.
Like,
that was crazy.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Until I didn't work. I did not open my computer. I did not. And our office was closed for the tech company. I didn't have to work there. And I was just like, no. I put a post on podcast, social media. I was like, it's Christmas holidays. See you in January. Yeah. And didn't even think about it. And kind of woke up one day and was like, holy crap, I took a whole week off. And I just enjoyed it. And I felt refreshed and relaxed and everything else. And you don't know how much you need it until you get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, schedule it, whether that's a daily, whether that's like I spend an hour moving, but exercise, whatever a day, whether that's one weekend a month, I go somewhere or I have a staycation or whatever it is for you that works, you have to do it. Right.
Yeah, totally. And sometimes for me, it's a 30-minute walk is about all that I have to break up my day or like to take time for myself. And then, this past that holiday, I just said no. I just forced myself not to work and I just wouldn't let myself do it. And it's you almost have to force yourself to take the break the same way that you have to force yourself to work.
Oh, for sure. It's just opposite. Well, I'm glad that you've realized that so early on because it took me 10 years. No, I knew it. Listen, I knew it. I just didn't listen to my own self. But learning that from the get-go is going to help you in the long run more than you realize.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I am not perfect at it, but I'm committed to it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we are going to flip the script a little bit, and Piper's going to ask me some questions, which like now I feel the pressure because I'm not the one giving advice now. I'm the one that has to answer the questions. So
in the hot seat, I'm taking control of this podcast.
Piper's taking control of this, and she created these questions. I have seen them, full disclosure. It's not like she's just asking me them straight out, but a lot of it I had to like really think because you don't think until you actually think about it, right?
Exactly. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So what is the best and most important advice that you received when starting your own business?
Okay, so I had commerce education university degree. And then I had about 10 years of experience, a little under 10 years of experience in, same as you, marketing, sales, that sort of thing. And I thought that I knew what I was doing. And because I'm like, I have the book smarts and the experience. So like, it's a perfect combination, right? Mm-hmm. And my dad, who was my, I think, informal mentor, like I don't call him my mentor, but I still go to him. I'm 40 something years old, and that's who I ask. Yeah. But he told me 3 things that if you listen to this podcast, you know, I say them all the time, but really was the best advice and the best advice now that I give to other people. The first one is do your research. Mm-hmm. You have to know what you're getting into. When I talked with you about the business, you knew what you're getting. Like you have to know. Mm-hmm. You have to know where your strengths are going to be, where your weaknesses are going to be. You have to know the competitive landscape. Like you just have to know everything. So do your research before you jump in, basically. Build yourself a network. Mm-hmm. So surround yourself with people that you can ask for advice or that have been through something similar or you can run ideas by. This is essential. Mm-hmm. And then the last one, which I'm way better at now, but is ask for help. Yeah. Because you think you know and you don't know. Like, what do I know about taxes? Absolutely zero. So like I'm letting an accountant do that, right? Mm-hmm. The things that you're not good at or you don't enjoy doing, get somebody else to help you with them. Yeah. And do the stuff that you're the best at. And recognize, right? Like recognize what you're not good at. And if you have a team, get a team member to do it. Or if you were me when I was first starting out, pay somebody to do it. Honestly. That's my top 3. And I think that they're essential for like making it because I think if you're lacking any of those, there's going to be major holes in your business.
Well, and those are applicable absolutely to starting a business, but I think also just to career in general as well. All of those apply. Okay, great. What are you most proud of in your career so far?
You know, when the first year I was in business, I won 2 awards. Mm-hmm. And that was literally like, I almost fell off my chair when they announced my name because I thought, no, seriously, I was like going there like, I'm never going to win. I'm in my first, like I just finished my first year of business. This is just so great to be a finalist, you know? Mm-hmm. And you can't see this right now unless you're watching it on the future YouTube channel that I'm going to get, but I've got all my awards in in the back here, but I've won quite a few awards. And I always, at the time, thought that the awards were the biggest, my proudest moments or my most success. Like, I think they showed I was successful.
Like the mark of accomplishment. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like saying you're the best at something. Yeah. And also I'm kind of competitive. So that was great. Yeah. But I think now that I've progressed more, and like I would not give those awards back. So it's not like I'm saying I didn't deserve them, because that was hard work that got those awards.
Yeah.
But I think as I've maybe matured in both age and my business life, I think the most that I'm proud of now is more of my community involvement and my philanthropy and those things, because I think awards are great and I am massively proud of them. But I think it's like the legacy that you want to live. Maybe this is because I'm getting older now, but it's that you want to be known for doing good things.
Yeah.
Not just winning awards, you know? So giving back to the community, being involved, helping people, that to me is kind of where my heart lies now. And really what I think is, what I'm most proud of.
And you can see the progression too, like even with you starting this podcast, like that's really the root of what you're trying to do here.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
I mean, I took a moment of, I have these awards, I have this experience. People have been asking me like for advice. I've almost been a mini mentor, I guess, for lots of people. Right. And then I took my entrepreneurial brain and thought, why am I doing, like, I can make a business out of doing this.
Right.
So that's where I've expanded now, is I'm helping people, but it's also, you know, offering me a benefit back. So
it's great.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a couple more. What were some challenges, or I guess maybe the biggest challenge you faced when you were starting your very first business?
It's really funny because you sent me these like a few days ago and I jotted down some answers. And then when I asked you the question and you said the unknown, and I literally have the unknown written right here. Definitely the scariest.
Yeah.
The unknown. I mean, similar to you, I had some very successful corporate jobs. I worked for very large companies. I did extremely well. Same thing. I won awards. I was really recognized in them. And I enjoyed them, but it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to go do my job tomorrow. It was a paycheck, you know, and it was a paycheck though. That's the main thing. It was a paycheck. And I think quitting a corporate job that you know exactly how much you're going to get paid, and you know you have 3 weeks of vacation time, and you know you have a pension and all this stuff, health benefits and whatever, and literally saying goodbye to those and having no clue. Like, I had no clue. My first year of business, my goal was to not go into debt. It wasn't even to make a profit. It was to stay alive, to keep my business open, and to be able to pay my mortgage and eat. And I was like, I was ready to sacrifice. I'm like, I don't need to go on a holiday. I don't need to go shopping. I didn't have to go shopping because, listen, I owned a clothing store. I just couldn't get items from there. But like, I was ready to sacrifice all of those things in order to stay alive. And that scared the shit out of me and I was single. I had no, like, it's not like I had a spouse with a job that could pay our mortgage. Like, it was just me. And that was terrifying. That was absolutely terrifying. But I also just recognized recently, when I was asked about this, I never saw failure as an option. Like, looking back, I never was like, well, what if my store closes? I never once thought that.
No.
So I don't know if I was like so delusional that I thought, well, it can't close, or if I was, not me, or was I just so prepared that I was confident that it would work? I don't know the answer to that question, but I never once saw failure as an option. I was just like, I'm opening a business, it's going to work.
And maybe it's not, you know, so much that, you know, you did the research and you like knew, but kind of an inherited confidence in yourself, or this may not go how I think it's going to go, but I'll redirect myself, and no matter what, I will be okay.
Yeah. And I think too, like, maybe this is blind faith, but like I always did really good in I had good marks in high school. I had good marks in university. I had my first career job. I excelled. I was like top of sales or top one customer service awards or whatever it was. That it's like I had that confidence and faith in myself. And then I had a family that was like, you can do it. You're going to do great. All my friends are behind me. Like, it's like I didn't even think I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
And like that was maybe stupid or good. I don't know. But it got me through. I mean, there were so many hard times in the first year because you don't know. You have no idea what to expect. But I never once was like, thought I was going to fail. And like, if it failed, whatever, I would just go get a job.
Well, exactly.
Like, what was going to happen to me?
There's so many different options and paths in life that, I think that if anyone's thinking about going on their own or doing it, and, of course, speaking from a place of somewhat privilege, of support and, the base of being able to go back to a career, but you owe it to yourself to try.
Exactly.
Because you don't know if you don't try.
No. And I was at the point, like, my mom passed away suddenly, and I had that moment of like, life is short. Why am I doing a job just to get a paycheck? It's stupid. I should be doing something I love. Like, it was kind of cliche. I went to Oprah, and Oprah was like, if you love what you do, it's not work. And I was like, she's right. Like, literally, I have all these little moments within like a 3-month period that and maybe that, like, whatever you believe in, maybe that was intuition, or maybe that was a guiding force, whatever. But I was just like, I have to do that. Kind of like you not taking those other jobs. I was like, I have to do this. Like, I have to. And that was it. There was no turning back. Like, it was just, I said to my dad one day, I want to open a women's clothing store, and I want to make it more of an experience and different. And he's like, go for it. And that was it.
Yeah.
That literally was it. I started making a business plan.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
10 years later.
Okay. I have one more real question, and then I have an idea to do some rapid fire questions with you.
Okay. I'm game.
Quick, yeah, a little game. Okay, so last question. This one's selfishly for me. So if you were, and everyone listening, if you were in my shoes today, knowing what you know now, what would one piece of advice be for me, or someone like me?
Or someone like you, yeah. I think all goes back to kind of the best advice I got is ask for help and build a network. Because you are not good at everything. Sorry to tell you that. But first of all, recognize that, right? If finance isn't your jam, get somebody to help you with finance. And also, I think another kind of part on this is know the basics. Like, you don't have to be, what's the saying? Like, you don't have to be a master of all things, but you should be a generalist in things. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to butcher that too. But you don't have to know everything about one thing, know a little bit about a lot of things.
Yeah. So like, know your basics in everything. Know your basics in finance. Know your basics in marketing. Literally, if you're not, Google it. Like, do some reading and just have an idea. If you're not from a marketing background like us and you have no idea how to build your brand, don't try to do it. Like, read a little bit on it and pay somebody that's an expert to do it. Because the thing is, if you try to put energy into an area that A, you don't like, B, that you're not good at, you're not going to get anywhere, and it's going to take you a long time to get nowhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's going to take you a lot more time.
Yeah. So don't try to be Superman and do everything on your own. I think at the beginning I tried to do that. And then within a few months I realized, like, oh my God, like, I was going to do my own books. I was going to do my own marketing. And then after a while I was like, I don't have enough hours in the day to even like do a quarter of this. So then I got a bookkeeper, and I mean, I still did my own marketing because I came from a marketing background, but or I got my staff to do things that, like, you dress the mannequin, like things that were like important, but I had faith in them that they could do it. I didn't have to do it all.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, ask for help or get help, pay for help if you need it. And yeah, just build yourself with that network. You need support. You need support, emotional and mental health support. And I don't mean a therapist, but I mean another business owner that you can say, oh shit, this happened. I don't know what to do. And they're like, oh, I went through that. This is what I did. Like, build that. And if you live in a place that you don't know where, like, you're like, well, I don't know anyone here. I'm not going to, or you that's running an online, it's not like you have a neighboring business that you can ask. There's groups you can join.
Yeah.
Right? There's groups all over.
Yeah. And something that I've been learning, I'm very actively focused on that specifically right now, is trying to build a network even more locally here in Vancouver. And trying to surround myself with people that are way smarter than me, actually.
Yeah. Be the best person in the room.
Yeah. Or know a lot more about certain areas than I do, because ultimately I'll learn, and then I have that person to go to for help as well. And there's always someone who's ahead of you, which there's always someone who's done it already, and they want to tell you about it. They'll share if you ask them, and you just have to ask for that conversation.
Oh, exactly. And it's like, nothing makes you more prouder than someone looking to you for advice. Like, when you call me and message me, that's actually a boost for me. That like pumps my tires, because you have the faith to ask me. You don't have to ask me. You can ask somebody else, or Google it, or ask your dad. Like, so that also helps me, right? It's kind of twofold.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, you ready for rapid fire?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so these are just quick questions. Don't think too much about them. Just whatever comes to your mind initially. Okay.
Okay.
Your favorite app on your phone.
That's my podcast app, and it's not because I listen to myself, although I do, because I have to make sure they're good. But two things about me: that one, I'm a constant learner. Mm-hmm. And so I listen to podcasts on business, masterclass. I listen to lots of masterclass to learn, right? To learn more basic information on things. Second of all, I am a true crime fanatic, and I don't ever commit crimes, but I do know a lot of information about true crime. And that is my rest, relax, whatever, is listening to stories about other people committing crimes, which seems very strange. But that's my relax, or that's my, when I'm cooking, or when I'm going for a walk or something. I don't know why. I've never committed a crime. Probably. It does. It's like I go into a whole new world, and it's that time where my brain is not on for business. Yeah. And so I need it. So you can ask me any true crime story, and I probably know who did it, or I can figure it out.
I don't think you're alone. A ton of my friends are into that, and I don't get it, but
I know. Go for it. My husband's like, you're just trying to figure out the way to get rid of me, and no one will know it's you. I'm like, they're going to know it's me. Yeah. Only husbands and wives kill each other, really. So it's like 90%. Anyways, DM me about true crime stories, and we'll chat.
Okay, agree or disagree. It's not about who you know, it's about what you know.
I used to think that like education and knowing book smarts was like the way to be, but as I've gotten older, your network is going to get you really, I kind of think it's a cross of both, but honestly, the more people you know in any industry, every industry opens doors for you don't even know existed. Hence, Piper and I work together. You now own my former business. Like, that wouldn't have been any educational thing I have. That was literally life experience.
Yeah. I often think that education kind of helps you get to a certain baseline. Yeah. It just kind of gets your name to a certain level. And then everything after that is really just about who you know.
Agreed.
And how you present yourself, working hard, things like that.
Yeah.
How many pairs of shoes do you own?
Oh, Lord. My husband, I don't think he actually even listens to the podcast, so it's fine. I moved 3 times in 1 year. And honestly, I probably had like 400 pairs. I think now, I know. I think now I probably only have about 200.
Oh my God, Mackenzie.
I know. I think before I moved from my house in Saskatoon to my condo in Saskatoon, because I had to downsize before I moved to Swift Current, I think I had like 60 pairs of flip-flops or something. Like an insane amount of, I know, shoes were always though. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I think I have probably 200 now. I have Rubbermaid totes in our basement full of shoes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Gmail or Outlook?
Gmail. No questions asked there. Gmail. I was like, I had an old school email address forever and I changed and it's like my world changed.
Yeah. Google's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Google.
What's the best gift you've ever received?
Okay, this is gonna be corny, but probably my engagement ring.
Aww.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love gifts. You can give me any gift ever. Every gift I get, I appreciate because I know the person's picked it out for me. But I feel like my engagement ring was like maybe too. I was older when I got married.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't want to say I waited a long time. That sounds weird, but like I felt like I really earned it.
Yeah, you really went on a lot of bad dates. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But I just feel like what it symbolizes, right? And I was surprised when we talked about getting married, but I had no clue it was happening. And it was just such a memory that like, obviously forever I'll have that. But, and he picked it all out himself and it was like exactly what I want. It's like he knew me so well to get me exactly what I wanted and simple. Don't tell him that. He'll be like, oh, gross. But anyway.
Yeah, he'll be like, you. What's your favorite book?
This is one of those things. I am not a big reader. Like I as a kid, literally I read every Babysitter's Club book. I read every like Fear Street, all these like kid books, teenage books. And I think my university years really like messed me up because all I read was textbooks. And then I got like almost like adverse to reading. Like I was just like, I don't want to read. Yeah. It took me 2 years, this is terrible to say, to read Anne Frank's diary. As an adult, I was like, I should read this. I took it to the lake one year, girls' weekend we do every year. And I took it back to the lake the next year. They're like, are you rereading this? I'm like, no, I'm still reading this. I do really like Catcher in the Rye. And I think that was like the first book I read as a teenager that kind of like resonated with like I got, and To Kill a Mockingbird was another one that like I really understood like the message. It wasn't just I read a book for entertainment. So I think those two are pretty classics, but yeah, I'm embarrassed to say I'm not a huge reader. I want to be. I've been reading the Gucci book, same thing for like a year.
Yeah, I started that one too.
I know, it's been a long time. I want to watch the movie, but I keep telling myself I can't watch the movie until I finish reading the book.
Yeah, well,
I gotta hurry up. Okay,
this is an easy one probably, or maybe not. What's something that you want in your closet for spring?
New jeans.
New jeans, yep.
I work from home now. I'm literally, you can't tell, but I'm wearing a blazer and leggings, which is like a fashion nightmare, but it's only because you can't see my bottom half.
Yeah. Okay.
But I haven't gotten new jeans since I had my store, and I feel like really much that I'm still wearing like skinny jeans, which aren't even cool anymore. So new jeans.
Yeah, you gotta get that wide leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your dream podcast guest?
Do you know who I'd love to have on is Jillian Harris.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, like I met her once. She was so sweet, but I think because old school days, I used to always watch Bachelor.
Yeah.
And I liked her because she was Canadian, so like you had to root for her, but I actually genuinely liked her. Yeah. And as a business person, she's kind of lived that entrepreneurial journey of she was on a reality show and became famous, but she's not famous now from being on a reality show, right? She's done all of these other great things. Yeah. And I would really like to pick her brain.
Yeah. From a branding perspective, yeah, she's absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Like she's smart. She's very smart. I don't know her. I've never talked to her. Someone could tell her to come on my podcast. It'd be fantastic. But like you can, but you can tell how smart she is based on the steps she's taken. She's a great business person. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. What is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is, "You only have one chance to make a first impression."
Love. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
That's from my dad. He always says it. And I remember being in high school and being like, wow, when he'd say it, being like, whatever, dad. But now as an adult / business owner / employee / everything, it is true. Like, to me, it's always put your best face forward, and always, you said a few minutes ago about working hard. And like, to me, it's like, I want to make that best first impression on people so they actually know what I'm about. Like, I'm very genuine and authentic. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything, right? And I just want people to know what's important to me and not ever come off right as fake or inauthentic.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're out of the hot seat. Those are all my questions.
I love those questions because they're fun, especially that last part. That was fun. Okay, I want to ask you 2 last questions. First one is the most important lesson you can share. So probably with your experience, or maybe it's to a new entrepreneur that's like, I want to do what Piper did and I want to buy a business or start a business, whatever it is.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think there's a few, and I've kind of alluded to some of them already. One of the kind of most important lessons I've learned is when you feel lost and you feel like you don't know what you're doing, to really pause and really rest. And when I say rest, what I really mean is like be present and just sometimes when you can take the focus off of the problem or like what you're trying to figure out, it becomes so much more obvious to you. And I mean, for me personally, I spoke about this earlier, but just the lesson of trying to differentiate between what you really want and what you want because other people want that for you or what they expect.
What you think.
You.
Yep.
And I think, specifically in entrepreneurship, it's very easy to think, well, someone's already done it. Someone's doing it better than me. Someone's been doing it longer than me. The industry is so saturated. There's no room for me. And I think you can get really caught up in that. And so something I think about a lot is that comparison is the thief of joy. And
yes. Oh gosh, yes.
There's room for all of us, and everyone has unique ideas and unique way to serve a specific industry, even if that industry is being served already by thousands and thousands of players. And so that is a really important lesson. And then one other thing that I try to live by, I don't know if this is a lesson, but if I've complained about something 3 times or more, then I have to do something about it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I can't let myself sit in that like wheel of just like complaining and like you almost become kind of like the victim, like all this is happening to me. Yeah. And so I try to catch myself. If I've complained about something 3 times, then I have to have the hard conversation. I have to change something about what I'm doing, and I have to take accountability for what's happening and make a change.
I love that. And you know what? Sorry, finish your thought, and then I just want to do a little antidote.
No, and I was going to say one other thing, but you go first, and I'll put it in after.
Okay, I was just going to say, especially when it comes to your career / life, you said before your career and your life are not 2 separate things. You're one being, right? And I have a friend for 10 years. She was like, I hate my job. I want to do something else, but it's so good. It pays so good. I've got 6 weeks of holidays, whatever. 15 years later, she's still in that job and she's still complaining about those same things. And I said to her one day, you got to make a change or you got to stop talking about it. Like, whatever you like doing, follow that. Change. You're not gonna, maybe you don't get 6 weeks of holidays and you don't get as much money, but if you love it more and you're not complaining, doesn't that make your life better?
Yeah. And sometimes it's almost this illusion of calm or like safety when you're like complaining about everything because you're not responsible, quote unquote. And that really has helped me, so much in personal life. Like I can't, complaining about a friend or complaining about a situation at work or a boss or this or that. Like you have to do something about it. And then the pressure is off you. You're done.
Yeah, you release it. Yeah.
And not that it's easy, but it's a good self-accountability thing that I try to work towards. And then the last lesson, and I just started thinking about this, is I just try every single day to be 1% better than the day before. And
I also love that.
I have these huge goals, obviously, like I'm starting these businesses and I like have these huge dreams and can really get, I can really get down on myself that I'm so far away from these goals and I don't actually know how to achieve them and how to get there, what steps to take. And so I just every day think about being a little bit better than the day before, a little bit better at time management, learning something I didn't know before, having a conversation that's, asking for help, having an open and honest conversation with friends or colleagues or mentors. And that helps you move towards your goals without kind of beating yourself up that you're not there.
Yeah, I love that. And the thing is, if you don't learn something every day, what is the point of your life?
Yeah.
If you're not growing, right,
Yeah.
You're stuck. If you're not growing, you're stagnant. So even if it's one little thing, one step, I'm working on all courses, right, to help people go through these journeys. Mm-hmm. And my thing is, every day I have to do this much. Mm-hmm. And it's like, some days I'm like, I don't feel like doing it. But I'm like, but if I just do that much, it's that much closer to the end product, right? And once you do it, you're happy about it. Like once you do it, you're like, oh, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
Right?
And yeah, someone I'm super inspired by lately is Emily Weiss. She's the CEO of Glossier, and I've been researching her, following her a lot. They're doing some big things over there. And she was quoted in an article saying that when she was starting the business, she didn't know anything kind of about makeup. So she made just like such small little to-do lists, like learn what a chemist does, buy sticky notes, buy like a notebook, like research what product or like what ingredients go into makeup, what is clean beauty, and just started from such the ground,
like
and
basics,
one little thing, and just learned a little bit every day. And like now she just stepped down as CEO, but now she's running this empire. And I resonate so much with that, because I can get so focused on like the big end goal that I don't even really know what I should be doing like today.
Yeah, like you have to take steps to get to that end goal, right? And if it's reading one article to teach you about knowing what your P&L is, then do it. Read it. Like, what does it hurt you? You can read it in the car. Not when you're driving. Yeah. No, I love those, and I agree with them all. And like you say, you need to take steps to get to your goals. So even if they're small, it's still a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Be moving. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Anything you wished you had known, or you wish you knew currently?
There's probably a lot that I wish that I knew that I don't even know.
No.
If that makes sense. Because in a lot of ways, I do feel like I'm just like starting out on this journey. Something, looking back, I'm 29 years old. So kind of looking back on my 20s, I think your 20s is hard, and there's a lot of pressure on you to, find a career you love, find your quote unquote calling, figure out who you are, find love, decide if you want kids, move, travel, don't forget to have fun.
It's everything.
It's a lot. And it really doesn't make you feel that good, because it's like this fleeting timeline that's like slipping away from you. And so I wish that at a younger age, I took the pressure off myself a little bit and just kind of enjoyed the ride a little bit, and focused more on kind of just the experience of what I was learning and the opportunities that were in front of me, and taking those opportunities, and just really not putting this weight on myself of like, figure out what it is that you want, figure it out. Because at 21, if someone showed me my life now, I'd be like, no, worried. I would have been like, okay, well, I'll figure it out. I'll get there.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's not that calm. And so I've really, in my 29th year here, really worked to reframe my mind to think about my only goal as really just to learn and gain experience. And that in turn will teach me more about myself. And then the more I know about me, the better decisions that I can make for myself and for my businesses kind of moving forward.
Yeah, that's so true. And do all the things. Like when you're, especially if you're in your 20s, do all the things you want to do. Go on the vacation, eat the freaking cake, and do all the stuff, because there's no timeline. Like there's no, like, you don't have to be married by a certain age. You don't have to have kids by a certain age. It's 2023. If you're 40 years old and you want to have a baby, you can go have a baby. Like
Absolutely.
there's no timeline on things, but you feel like when you're in your 20s that there is.
Yeah, you
right?
really do. You feel like there's almost these checkpoints, and it's kind of the first time in your life as well where people your age and your friends, you're not all together on doing the same things. Like it's pretty, like you go to high school, you go to university or post-secondary, or you start working, and all of us are kind of like aligned. And then all of a sudden you kind of hit your mid-20s and people are getting married. Some people have never had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and some people are traveling the world. Some people are starting businesses. Some people are career people, and all of a sudden everyone is off in different directions, and you have no benchmark anymore. And it's then society's on your other shoulder telling you to do all of these things that are quote unquote correct for your age. And
like you should be here. It's like the little star on the map. You were here.
Yeah,
that's
you're not
right.
successful if you're not married, if you don't have a house, if you don't have this job, if you don't make this money, and it's all fake.
Yeah. Well, whom's making this timeline?
Exactly.
Nobody. The past. Yeah. People our parents' age, maybe more myself, got married when they're 19 years old. And like, not saying there's anything wrong with that, but like, if you were 22 and a single woman, you were old. Now, it's like people are like, you're 22, don't get married. You have so much more life to live, you know? I think the thing too, looking back as being more than 10 years older than you, but like, you never will regret the things that you did. You'll only regret the things that you didn't do.
Yeah.
Because when I look back, I had an opportunity to like go to Australia for 3 months, and I had a job, and I was like, well, I'll have to quit my job. I can't do that. And I didn't go. And like now looking back, I worked at the Bay in cosmetics. Quit the damn job and go. Yeah. Or I could have said to them, I want to go on this 3 months. Can I have any job when I get back? Maybe they would have said, as an adult now, I'm like, that was so dumb. But in the time, it seemed like, well, I was an adult. I had to have a job. I couldn't
take
quit
yourself
my
so seriously.
Job.
It's like this huge deal. It's not really that big in the grand scheme of your life. And that's what, if people younger than me or like my siblings ask for advice, like I always tell them, just take the opportunity, just take the experience, just try it. And if you hate it, leave, try again.
Try something else. Yeah. That's great advice. Thank you, Piper. This was so fun. It's a little longer than our regular episode, but like, I think it was so cool how we kind of went through perspective of a new entrepreneur, and the good stuff and the hard stuff and the fun stuff and not so fun. I mean, that's business and that's life too, right? But enjoy it. Enjoy every step.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I was so excited to get on here and chat, and it was really cool that I got to ask you questions. So
I know, thank you. That was actually fun. That was fun for me too, because I got to kind of participate a little bit more too. So thank you so much for everybody listening. Thank you for tuning in. Piper, well, we know Piper, sorry, I never even asked where people can find you. I'm like so excited here that Piper, where can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find 252 on 252boutique.ca or on Instagram at 252boutique, and then Cross the Line Consulting. Find us on Instagram at Cross the Line Consulting, and you can look me up, Piper Clarke, on any social channel.
And I'll tag everything. Make sure you follow our social media. I'll tag Piper in there. If you're a new entrepreneur too, maybe you have a question for Piper, or if you need marketing, you want to buy a really nice new shirt, whatever. Piper's got lots of skills you can go to her for. And you know where to find her. Yeah. Thank you, Piper. Appreciate it. And to everyone listening, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to Winning. Be sure to subscribe to get all of our new episodes. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media, and leave a rating and review wherever you listen to Winning. To catch all of the latest from us, you can follow Winning Podcast on Instagram at winning_podcast, Facebook at Winning Podcast, and on Twitter at Winning Pod. Winning was created and is produced by me, Mackenzie Kilshaw. Music created by Summer Furby. Editing by Seth Armstrong. Special thanks to Shauna Foster for voicing our opening. And of course, a huge thank you to this episode's guest. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.